Call me biased, but Howie Roseman deserves to be in a Hall of Fame of GMs if there ever were one. Howie Roseman reminds me of that annoying friend that loves to trade in fantasy, because in this draft, this man picked up an additional third, fourth, fifth rounder, making 3 trades in the 4th round alone. This guy is literally cooking. And it's all so funny to think that it was one moment that changed everything. And here's where it happened.
Jalen Reagor, wide receiver, TCU to the Eagles.
Let's go get him.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat,
I'm on it.
get Justin Jefferson on the clock right now.
Yes, Howie Roseman picking Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. I've said it so many times on this channel, I'm not going to repeat it, but the Vikings laughing at Howie Roseman. I want to know how many times he has watched that video, because they have made a menace out of Howie Roseman. And before that, we all knew Howie Roseman to being this great cap genius. He would mess around with the contracts and it would be amazing. Now he's a trade god. This man, whether it's trading for A.J. Brown, the Titans getting Treylon Burks, God bless. Whether it's trading back in the 21 draft to go to the 12th spot, to then trade back up to get Devontae Smith over the Giants. This guy is playing 3D chess, and everyone's playing checkers. Howie trading the Saints a first rounder, a third and a fourth, getting a future first, which happened to be number 10 because the Saints did a bet on my team type of deal, and it blew up in their face, and Howie saw that. And he attributes it to Andy Reid and him being there, because Andy Reid was always a year ahead. But God, man, this makes me so excited to be an Eagles fan, and I venture to say that this is the best time to be an Eagles fan. The Eagles did everything that they needed to do this offseason, and they continue to do so under the tutelage of Howie Roseman. Whether it's extending A.J. Brown, extending this man, Smitty, which was a crucial part of this offseason, whether it's getting all of these players that we need, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, we just drafted Jeremiah Trotter. I mean, the Axemen, like, come on. Are you kidding me? Call me biased, I don't care, but the Eagles have had one of the best drafts in recent history, and Quinyon Mitchell, if that's how you say his first name, is a steal at 22. We didn't have to use any draft picks, nothing like that. And then in the second, you're telling me we get to Cooper DeJean, is that how you say it? Insane. It's always funny, too, looking at the Eagles. I'm not going to say anything, but everyone knows the jokes. I'm not going to say it. It is such a fun time to be an Eagles fan, and the fact that Howie Roseman has turned the corner in making stupid first-round picks and getting these players that are developmental in the first round to then switching it around, getting the proven asset in A.J. Brown, getting the proven asset in whatever he wants. The only time he's taking that risk is even in this draft where we got Hunt, but only because he's an athletic freak and he fits Vic Fangio's defense. The Eagles also picked up Will Shipley late, which I think it's a steal. He's not going to play over Saquon, but as a backup, we all know Saquon has been injury prone due to the Giants field being terrible and their line also not helping, but he got Will Shipley as a backup and got a pick, and it's just insane where Howie is literally doing laps around other GMs because they just can't catch up. And the fact that there's a world where the Dolphins are paying a third to trade up in the 4th round, like, doesn't make sense, and Howie is taking advantage of it. So it's time to give Howie the respect that he deserves, because, man, after picking Reagor and after picking all those type of first round talents that just went to waste, he has absolutely lit it up. And the fact that going into the 2020 season where we still had Wentz on the books, we just drafted Hurts, everything is looking so muddy. We don't even have a wide receiver one. Like, it's insane. What does he do? Boom. Trades Carson, which turns into a first rounder because he hits all those prerequisites in Indianapolis. Then Hurts is the starter. What is it? Starting quarterback need. They're wide receiver 1. And that's what they got in Devontae Smith. And since then, it has been absolutely lights out. Eagles made the playoffs in the last 3 years. They went to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, we lost. But the fact that we're still being in that category year after year after year is insane, coming from the 4-11 record that we had in 2020. Howie has learned from giving these big contracts and front loading this money to where that cap does not exist, because I can push the money down the line where the salary cap just increases, and then the contract just becomes so much easier to pay off and so worth it. The biggest thing going into this offseason for Howie and the Eagles was, are we going to extend Smitty? And are we going to do it before the other teams sign the T. Higgins, the CD Lambs, the Justin Jeffersons? Howie went out and paid Smitty, honestly, for a steal at $25 a year. That is insane when you look comparatively, because now Justin Jefferson is going to want a lot more. CD Lamb's going to want a lot more. I get it, Smitty took a little cut because he's a wide receiver too, and he loves Philly and wants to stay. But Howie jumped the gun to where if you pay your quarterback, you pay your wide receiver quick and fast and at a reasonable rate, it is going to supersede anything, because the cap, like I said, gets bigger. So the fact that he's already out in front of it, paying these players before it expands, is a steal. And as long as you keep them happy, they're not going to want to trade like T. Higgins. So if I'm rambling, excuse me, but the fact that we get Quinyon Mitchell, we get DeJean, we get Hunt, we get all of these players, and then we add a third, a fourth, and a fifth in a next year draft, Howie is literally playing Madden. And I don't know any other GM that's doing this. Genuinely, I don't know. And I love being a fan of this team, knowing the fact that we do this shit all the time. And it just leads into the culture that has been ingrained in that Philadelphia Eagles locker room and in that front office. So I say all this to reiterate the fact that Howie Roseman not only made up for his draft concerns where he's drafting these busts, but he is also creating an environment where people want to play in Philly, because the stigma was that no one wanted to play in Philly. And I get it. We throw batteries at Santa, which only was because we won 2 games that season and we couldn't get OJ Simpson. Apparently, I deep dived that, but that's what I heard. I get it. I get the stigma. We push our players to the max, and a lot of people boo them. A lot of people cheer for them. A lot of people kick them out if you have a bad mental state. But Howie has made this a winning culture, at least for the last 5 to 6 to 7 years. And I don't see a team that is doing the stuff that Howie Roseman has been doing since his tenure as GM, and getting full control from Jeffrey Lurie, where he's not being overstepped, he's not being overlooked, has been monumental to the Eagles' success. And the fact that the contract situations that he proposes and that he sets out have just been on par with one of the best contracts that we have seen. Yes, I understand the Wentz contract was a little iffy, but the fact that you get out of that with not guaranteeing yourself a first, but guaranteeing yourself a second, and then if he plays a certain amount, you get a first, and then we got our first, and it ended up being an amazing trade where we got all these assets back. Howie is playing chess where other teams are playing Tetris, to be honest. I mean, if that. It's insane to think that the Eagles, where we are just known for this inconsistency at certain positions and not caring for certain positions, not putting money into these positions, Howie says, you know what, let me switch it up. Let me go get you a Saquon Barkley. Let me go get you an A.J. Brown on top of a Devontae Smith. Let me go get you a Dallas Goedert, where he trades up in front of Dallas to grab Dallas Goedert. That's insane. And it's so fun because Howie Roseman is a GM, but he plays like anybody that is a fan would want to play as a GM. And let me explain it a little bit better. If you're a GM and you see your rival, the Cowboys, up to draft, and you're like, oh shit, they might want to grab this player, I'm going to trade up and I'm going to go get him in front of you. That's what he does. He does this all the time, and it's so fun to watch. I said the Eagles just drafted Jeremiah Trotter, which, if you guys don't know, we had his father, and his father is a legend here. It's so fun because what you think like, oh, that'd be cool, Howie Roseman, he does it. He goes out and does it. And I'm just grateful to be a fan right now. And if you guys are too, please comment what you guys thought about this draft for the Eagles, because I am in awe, genuinely in awe and in love to see what happens for this next season. So if you guys watched this long, thank you guys for watching. And as always, it's been Studs.